Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and my craft table. So in today's video, I am making a few birthday cards for some military members and veterans. So I thought I would take you along on the creation of one of these. So let's go ahead, hop down to that craft table and get started. Okay, so today I'm going to be working with this stencil right here. So Hero Arts had sent over this stencil for me to give it a try and see what I thought about it. It's really super fun looking. And I'm also going to be hot foiling a sentiment with this press and foil plate. This is pretty fun. This is actually a Spellbinders press and foil monthly club kit. So I got this about a month ago and I haven't had a chance to use it, so I thought it would be a great day to put it to use. Let's go ahead and look at this stencil that was sent over. First of all, it is 4 separate layers and it's called Bitty Floral, and it is a 5 1/4 by 6 1/2 stencil. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I think this is such a fun stencil. I'm very excited to give this a try. This is the sample image. There is a Hello Friend stamp set and a Hello Friend die set. There are alignment marks on their stencils to help you with the designs, and the Hero Arts logo should always be up when you're stenciling. It says you can even use it with inks, watercolors, paints, sprays, paste, and more. So I think today I'm just going to do some simple ink blending. I am going to be working with some Concord and Ninth inks. Those are here: Briar Rose, Ballet Slipper, Plumberry, Juniper, Honeycomb, and Pistachio. And then I brought in my sticky mat. I have a card panel. This is just 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And these are the stencils. So on each stencil, there is a Hero Arts logo right here in this bottom right corner. And then in this corner, it'll just give you the layer. So it has the embossed number of the stencil, and then it has like a -1, 2, or whatever. So this is layer 1. These are our florals. And then these squares, these little squares that you see in these corners, those are like registration marks, so they kind of help you line everything up. So here's the thing. I'm using a smaller panel than what it would be covered by these registration marks. So I'm going to be placing this down here. Look, kind of get it as about centered as much as possible. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some washi tape and I'm going to create like a corner. And this is what I'm going to use to kind of keep my stencil in the right place. So I'm just making myself a little corner here. And then I'll do the same up in the top left. So as long as I line up my stencil in these corners, then everything's going to line up perfectly. If I were to use a cardstock about this big, then I would tape everything down on that paper, and these registration squares, those would actually be very handy. Okay, so it really kind of depends on what size paper you're using. So these are going to be the smaller flowers, and I think what I want to use for these smaller ones is I'm going to go ahead and use the Briar Rose. So I'm going to bring in a blending brush. I'm just going to ink blend, and I'm just going kind of light to start with, because you can always add color, but you can't take away color. All right, let's see how that looks. So I'm going to lift a corner and then I'm just going to peek at it. I think that's perfect. And now I'm going to bring in the other floral. So this is layer 2, then Hero Arts is there. So I'm going to place this in the corner here where these 2 pieces of washi tape meet, and line it up in the top corner as well. Press this all the way down. And if you don't have a sticky mat like this, you would just tape your paper down to your work surface, and you would need to tape this down over your panel as well. All right, let's do a ballet slipper. Now I may have to come back and I have to rethink ballet slipper. It's a very light pink. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and check and see, like, do I have enough ink coverage or do I need to keep going? So I'm just gonna peel that up, and you can see that is super, super light. I may go ahead and get, a darker pink. Okay, let's try, this is already light enough, and this is Nectar. The ballet slipper is a very light color. So I'm gonna see if by adding a little bit of Nectar, if it just kind of wakes it up a little bit. And I can already, look at that, I can already tell. In fact, let me zoom in for you. There we go. Maybe you be able to tell a little bit better. Definitely a big difference. I do like Nectar, it's a very fun color. So a minute ago, you couldn't really see any ballet slippers. So let's check out the Nectar. And wow, what a huge difference. I know it sounds really weird, but I'm gonna get the Briar Rose, and I'm gonna see if about going just around some of these little edges, like just around the little leafy parts, like this. Just barely. And that's what these tiny little ink blending brushes are great for. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in with the Nectar, and I'm just going to kind of smooth all of that out. All right, let's take a look and see what that looks like and if we like it. Oh, look at that. That is so pretty. Do you see all the gradient right there? I love that. Okay, so then we have layer 3. Now layer 3 are all of the leaves. So again, I'm gonna place this in that top corner and this in this bottom corner. Looks like I'm doing great with the placement because everything is seeming to line up where it needs to go. I am going to use pistachio. Peek and show you. So, oh, that is looking so pretty. And y'all, I can't wait to show you close up, like just the gradient from the Nectar and the Briar Rose. Okay, this color palette, wow, amazing. Okay, so something I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a smaller blending brush, and I'm really just gonna go like right down here along this bottom of these bigger leaves. Just kind of give it a little bit of depth. Okay, let's see what this looks like. This is my favorite part of a stencil. I always forget how much I love stencils. Check that out. That is just gorgeous. Now I could, if I wanted to, come in and I could make these other leaves like really, I could make them darker, but I don't know that I really want to darken them other than maybe a little bit of shading. Okay, so I think that is good. And stenciling is so quick. We are down to our last one. All right, now this is the little, the veins in the leaves and the centers to the star, or the centers to the flowers. Now for the veins, I'm using juniper, and I'm going to go ahead and use this smaller blending brush, and I am going to get into all of these little veins with this darker color. All right, I'm going to wipe this up. Let's check and see if we like the way this looks. I'm hoping we do. That looks pretty good. Not too bad. All right, now I do want to soften that just a little bit, just barely, because that is a very big difference. So I'm going to bring back in this first stencil, and I just kind of want to go over with the pistachio. All right, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to grab this honeycomb. It's like a yellow color. And I just want to kind of go along the top of each of these. And then I'm going to get that. That looks fantastic. Love that. This stencil, I need to bring this back because we need to do the centers. Before I do that, so you can use a baby wipe or rubbing. Usually I use rubbing alcohol to clean my stencils. Okay, but a baby wipe will also work really well to do that. Then we're going to put our stencil back in place. Okay, so now I'm going to use plumberry, and then I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use clementine for the orange ones. I'm going to use clementine for the orange flowers, or the nectar flowers. So anything that is pink or the briar rose, I'm just going to go over with the plumberry. Okay, that will be our plumberry centers. And then we've got our clementine centers. I think we are all done with our ink blending. Let's check out what our stenciled panel looks like. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh my goodness. Okay, so very quickly, I'm just going to grab each of these and I'll wipe them down with a little baby wipe super fast. I will go back later and I will clean them up with some rubbing alcohol and they will come super clean. Okay, I'm gonna pull up my sticky mat and then I'm gonna bend it like a Cricut mat, and this will just pop right off. And then I keep this sticky mat inside one of those little zipper pouches. You know, these little zipper pouches that you see everywhere. Okay, so this just keeps it nice and protected. And then when it does need a good bath, I just, wash it in the sink and let it air dry really well. I don't use any harsh chemicals. I mostly use water. Oh, y'all, this is so pretty. Check this out. I love that. That's so gorgeous. Okay, make sure this is all cleaned up. We're gonna do some foiling. So I have my glimmer system here. Okay, so I'm gonna put this really close to each other And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. This will take a few minutes to heat up. Okay, so you can see the power light. When it's ready, it will turn green here, and then I'll put the foil and everything on here and then press the timer button. And we're just going to have this on like that. So I'm going to get some of this gold foil. And you always want the pretty side of your foil face down. So the pretty side of your foil, this is hot foiling, the pretty side is going to kiss the plates, so to speak. Pretty side on the plates. Okay, we're gonna let that just get all nice and hot. And then we're gonna have our foil. Okay, and then while that's heating up and everything, grab our Platinum 6. I'm also going to be grabbing a card base. We have our panel. Y'all, I cannot get over how pretty that is. Okay, we might have to do some glossy accents on some of these centers. We'll see. We'll see where we put the sentiment at. When I take the plates off, they'll go here on this little mat here.
So I've lost audio for about a minute and a half here, but basically what I'm doing is I've heated up the plates for the sentiment, and I am going to cut a piece of the gold foil, lay this on top, then my cardstock, and then both of the plate / shims, and hit the timer button. When the timer is solid, I will remove the glimmer system from its dock, and I will start to run it through the Platinum 6. And I've sped this up here, but normally I go extremely painfully slow, like microscopically moving. But I wanted to speed it up for you so you wouldn't have to wait. So I ran it forward, and now I'm running it back. And then I'm going to take the plates off. I'm going to grab the cardstock with the foil. I'm going to move all of this out of the way. And now I'm going to check and see the sentiment. Look at that. That is so gorgeous. I'm also going to save the negative. I'm going to foil that onto some cardstock like you see here. So I've got a solid plate heating up. And as soon as it is heated, I will place the foil on top of that solid plate, put the shims back on top, hit the timer, and wait for it to be ready to go through the Platinum 6. So in the meantime, I am taking a rectangular sentiment die, and I'm going to cut out the original sentiment. I'm being careful to put the washi on the outside of the die, and I'm just going to run this through the Platinum 6. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to grab a pair of scissors, and I think I want to fishtail one of the ends so it looks so pretty. I'm going to grab some scissors, and I'm going to cut that fishtail. And during this process, the timer became solid, and I was able to then go ahead and get this ready to run through the Platinum 6 to take care of the negative.
Okay, so I'm going to go really, really slow through here. And I'm going to have the machine press all of that foil down. Okay, now I'm going to turn this off because we are not going to need that anymore. Okay, I'm going to move this over here to the side, and if I did a great job, then we will have a foiled panel. Whew, that is so hot. I'm going to let that sit for just a second. And then this can all go off to the side to cool down, and I don't need my foiling machine anymore. So let's see how I did. And see if we like it any better. Okay. It looks a little blotchy. So, yep, definitely looks a little blotchy. So I didn't do a great job there. I must have not gone slow enough, but that's how you use up the negative piece of your foil. And that's a great way to stretch the foiling. Now, you know, for a card that would be, you know, like a masculine card with a distressed look, this would actually be perfect. So I am going to go ahead and cut it out, because even though it's not super perfect, it would work for a mixed media situation. So I think that's going to be great. And like I said, this would be great for a mixed media, but I probably would not put it, you know, on a different type of card. Okay, I'm just going to run this through. That looks pretty good. And I do have one tiny little white piece here that I'll just trim off with my scissors. And then there we go. That would be great for like my dad's birthday is coming up. So maybe I will do like a mixed media, grungy looking birthday card for my dad. But do you see, like, see, that's gonna be really pretty. And we can kind of put it wherever we want. I want to cut down the edge here of this birthday panel. So we're gonna get this framed out, and we're gonna run this through the die cutting machine. All right, so here is my panel. Here's my happy birthday. And then I'm going to grab a card base and a layer. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get our card assembled. So this is 110 pound. It is 8.5 by 5.5. I think I want it to be a landscape card. So that means we're gonna score this at 4 1/4. Okay, so here is our card base. This panel here, this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger than that. This is artichoke cardstock. Okay, let me check this to see if I need to cut down any more. Okay, so that's going to be great right there. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down, make sure that I like the fit. All right, so we'll worry about that fishtail in just a second. Okay, so this is going to be matted, and then I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm going to go right up this middle piece. I don't want to go all the way. And then I'm going to do from the edge to the center. Okay, I think that looks really good. And I think the mat was a great idea. Okay, now we're ready to get all of this put together. Here's our card base. I'm going to put my little sticker here on the back. Okay, that will go down like that. Oh, this is looking so good. I'm going to get some foam tape. In fact, I'm going to use this. It is about 1 millimeter thick. Probably get 3 strands here on our little sentiment. Okay, and I always grab my tweezers because I want my fingers out of the way, and then we're going to put a little bit of liquid glue here on this foam tape. That way I can move it around if I need to. All right, and then I think we're going to So the question is, do we want to see the white or do we want it all the way up? I kind of like the white. So about right here. Perfect, that is so pretty. Okay, so next I'm gonna bring in, this is the Opal Aura, or Opalescent Aura, some of my favorite sequin. And I think there's like a couple of different sizes. So let's get some of these on here. I think I like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get some glue down, get these onto the card. Okay, lovely. And then finally, there are these big centers of these orange flowers. I'm just going to put a little bit of glossy accents on top of the ones that I did in Nectar. Their centers are really big, and we'll just make that a little glossy. And then these plumberry ones, they have bigger centers. This will dry clear and it'll be like a three-dimensional little element on top of those flowers, but the tiny ones I'm going to leave the way they are. All right, well, here is our beautiful card project for the day, courtesy of Hero Arts. I'm so excited that they sent over this stencil because I can think of 6 ways to Sunday that I can use this and a variety of projects in my craft room, and I will definitely be doing that quite a bit. I am so happy that the birthday foiling came out. I love it. I think it lends to just a beautiful birthday card, very simple and clean. Don't forget, you can check out all of the materials and supplies that I've used today down in the description in case you're interested. And also don't forget to like the video, or better yet, hype it and share it with your crafty friends. So until I see you in the next card or craft, as always, have an amazing day and happy crafting.
Hello, crafty friends. Thanks for making it to the end with me. I'm so glad you were here to share in the crafty fun. Here are a couple more videos that I think you might find inspiring. And don't forget to like, comment below, and subscribe. So until I see you in the next video, have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.